Good afternoon. I'm Ryan Bardis. Here's a picture we took here at Knowledge Services on the north side of Indianapolis recently. We had the opportunity to see some of our cyber guardians. Been working with Lionfish Cybersecurity on the education side. These are high schoolers that had been completing the CompTIA A plus and looking at having an internship. So, as the director of student success, I'm able to show them what it looks like to work in the actual business. This is an employee in the background, a little Q&A opportunity, and just a really phenomenal program that we are doing. This is some of the board of directors from the Hamilton County, if you're familiar, within Indianapolis on the north side. We have a great program called the Pursuit Institute, and working to be a force multiplier there. And beyond that, on the military in the day, on my day job, I'm the ComSec manager. So we do things like what we're looking at here. I was given a heads up on when my audit would be. I was fortunate enough to be the one and only account that passed our audit. And in hindsight, truly wish I had things like this cyber tackle box. But looking at what we have available in the way of tools, my goal today is to share with you how to handle an improv drill planning. And because what I'm seeing is real, if the more planning that we can do, the better position we are in. Uh, we in the military do that right. We plan to plan, and then we do battle drills, and we go through those battle drills and have things like after action review, AARs, where we review and we think about multiple contingencies. Do things ever go like we expected them to? Certainly not. The battlefield is very dynamic, and I can empathize. I think, well, here we are. We had expected to meet on the 13th, and wildfires in California, they had postponed us. So, I'm looking at meeting with you virtually, and we still have challenges. So, we adapt, we overcome, and part of what you and I are wanting to do is, yes, we have a rule book, we have ways that we are looking to see what the controls are, how can we improve, what is the framework, but then, if things change, how do we adapt? So if you're able to, my recommendation is to print off this improv drill planning template. Um, I'm going to look through, I have a Word document here in front of me. We have this available here in the chat. I'll drop it in the chat as a Word document. It's a template, but it's also a dynamic document where we're recommending that you make the changes and edits and customize it for your MSP. If you would read here with me, what is the purpose? We're going to use this template to quickly organize and execute an improv compliance drill, testing how well your team responds to unexpected scenarios, whether that's a sudden audit request, a simulated breach, or another real-time compliance challenge. The goal is to measure readiness, improve coordination, and reinforce a culture of continuous improvement. All right. So welcome back. We have, over the past sessions, we've realigned mindsets, we've built internal roadmaps, embedded compliance culture, and embraced this one-to-many framework. Now we focus on adaptability. All right. Today's session is about being agile under pressure. In a world where compliance needs evolve and incidents arise unexpectedly, how quickly can we respond? I'm going to propose is that the audit that we expected to happen a month out is unexpectedly happening in less than 2 weeks. And so the flash to bang is shorter than expected, and we are going to surprise with assessment. And instead of having time to get prepared, it's okay, where is the account right now? Why do we bother with these drills? Because real life does not follow script. A new DoD requirement might appear, or a client system might fail, an unexpected audit item. We see that the phishing attack might hit a critical vendor, or we see by rehearsing in advance, we can build our team confidence. People respond better under stress when they've practiced, and we reveal the weak spots. It's really what we need you to do. Instead of just identifying the strengths, we're going to see where is the gaps in the armor. So we're going to look at drills, help us identify the gaps in our process before the real crisis hits. This is going to enhance your reputation. Clients trust an MSP that can handle surprise smoothly. We're going to reinforce your value and credibility. Scenario: random officer requests immediate proof of multi-factor authentication compliance for 3 clients. The primary objective here is to evaluate the organization's ability to retrieve and present accurate real-time compliance documentation for MFA controls under pressure. We're going to test the effectiveness of the document accessibility, communication protocols, and cross-department collaboration in meeting the audit requests promptly and accurately. We're looking at the access control and incident response. I want to take a moment here and pull up our Lionfish Cybersecurity Cyber Tackle Box to give an example of how that looks inside the tackle box. Some of us are very familiar with this. This is the compliance element, and we know within the code of CMMC, the 3.53, we see the use multi-factor authentication for local and network access to privileged accounts and for network access to the non-privileged accounts. We also have a secondary goal. We want to process adherence. We want to verify that teams follow the documented SOPs for responding to audit requests, including proper chain of command escalation. Any questions here before we move on? Here's some of the details of the drill planning. This is before we had the wildfire, so the dates will not directly line up with the real world of which when you're watching this video. But the plan was to launch this on the 13th January. That we're going to do a drill together for about 20 minutes until the scenario was resolved. We were going to test in a fully cold, that is to witness the client's real reaction. No warnos available. This is what happened without any warning shots. The scope we're going to drill will be conducted in system-wide where nothing remains out of scope. Sometimes you'll have this critical infrastructure that are protected. We're calling this in-scope system. And for this case, we're going to say we're going to use Slack or cell phones to simulate incident escalations, and tracking will occur within the provider ticket system. All right. Take some time here, read these through. I trust that you appreciate some of these names. Mr. Pat Planet, Mr. Alarmist, the Evaluator, Cy Berkey, Fish and Click, and C-Level Bossman. Each of these roles have a role name, and I give them a fun name to help us follow along. And of course, their responsibility. This is a scenario to help us understand who are the players and we'll go through after you had a chance to read this. Give you about 45 seconds now to read through the responsibilities. So, move on to the next slide. Looking at the right-hand side of the screen, looking at the drill, flow, and action. I'm going to talk you through a scenario. Imagine this happens it could happen with anywhere, and this is kind of indicative of what real world we might see. uh, 0900. The event is triggered because Mr. Pat Planet sends a phishing email to a group of employees containing links to a fake login page to mimic the company's internal portal. The phishing emails are tailored to appear as an urgent IT security update. Silly old phishing click falls for the phishing email, entering the personal employee credentials and logs into the fake login page. The compromised credentials trigger a simulated unauthorized login alert triggered by the security monitoring system. The SIM is doing its job. There's an IDS in place. And over the next 2 hours, we see a monitoring and observing. This is where we're watching how the team responds to the email that says triggered. The credentials have been leaked. This is a breach. And the evaluator then observes and notes how effectively the IT department, the HR department, the finance departments collaborate to address the simulated threat. The key communications include notifying affected employees, ensuring leadership is kept informed. Quick story here, at Fort Meade, my title was the infrastructure NCOIC. It's the manager on the floor. And we had very strict protocols in the incident. There's a breach, and all of these have very specific definitions. But in the event of a breach, we had a phone. It wasn't red. I think of it as being red. It was in fact beige, and I used the term POTS, a plain old telephone system. So it was autonomous from all the other all the other networks that you might be familiar with. But we pick up that plain old telephone system and call the commander, and it was very clear, day or night, whatever happened. And it was next to his bed, I imagine. He had a home phone, and it was something like this: like, sir, mission Snaggletooth has a potential of being compromised. And he knew what that meant, and it's an alias of an alias, and no other words need to be said. And sure enough, within 30 minutes, the one-star general came in, and we would go into a secret room, and we would tell him what happened, all the events that led up to, all the the key potential ramifications of this, and from there, other teams would come in, loss mitigation occurs, and the ball is rolling. In this scenario, the end condition at 11:30 hours, the drill concludes where the C-level boss man, my scenario is the commander, is briefed on the event, and the final logs are captured for review. So the evaluator records the lessons learned, areas for improvements, preparing for the debrief meeting. Military, we call this AR. Here, we're going to have our own way that we're going to look at lessons learned. Where are the areas of improvement? success criteria. What is the KPI? What are the key performance indicators? And this will be based on the maturity level within the CMMC. It's going to be uh, developing, we're going to measure where the level of maturity is. I have a teenage son, and, there's some things he can do now that he was not able to do a few years ago. Yet there's some maturity that he's not ready for. He's not living on his own yet. So I have to, based upon his age and the maturity he's been able to show, what responsibilities he allowed for where he's at. So the same idea, response time. The incident response team alerted within, was it 30 minutes? Was it 15 minutes? Uh, what were the parameters requested? Did he do what was needed? Escalation accuracy, proper chain of command followed, no major confusion. Did we pick up the phone? Commander, Snaggletooth operation has a potential breach. Accurate. Correct mission alias. This is what happened. Or this is a potential what we've observed. Right? Staff adherence to the SOP. This is a field where if we do according to the standard operating procedure, if we do according to the letter of the law, we observe and report. It's not us to interpret or to change the law based on how we feel in the moment. No. We check to see each step in policy was performed correctly. Someone else sets the law. We're not, well, I guess we have a few people here. Chris, you might be one who helps change the law. But for most of us, we are here to follow. Once it's established, we'll follow what's uh, illustrated there in the cyber tackle box. And then communication clarity. The key stakeholders get timely updates. Oh my goodness. Once that phone is called, people want updates. My goodness, they want updates. What's the status? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And sometimes it's, sir, we will update you. We will bring you more information when it's available. As of now, my team they're trained professionals and they are doing what they can do. Well, it looks like the outside take a smoke break. Sir, I will give you an update when it's available. Containment and recovery. Evidence of swift isolation. User credentials reset or patching. Yeah. Some things, once the cat is out of the bag, are not able to be contained. And that's the reason we take the security so seriously. There are missions that are stacked on other missions, and there's ramifications that, my goodness, when I moved to Maryland and I saw there were teams that were out there, and we are friends inside and outside of what we do in the cyber world. I see that their life is dependent on their identity being not disclosed, and it became very real. We have. I met their families, and their families said, "Hey, you know, Sergeant, please bring my husband home. I'll do all that I can." And I take that very serious. And uh, this is one of these things, where we've heard things about, Edward Snowden, or some of the things that have happened. And huge fan of free speech, but there's also a place where no, there's not a need to know information. There's a need to keep information protected. Then that's what we're here. We're going to do all within our power to ensure that this information is protected. I don't leave my gun out. I don't trust everyone, and we're going to do the same thing here. So I appreciate you being here, and we're going to define the success. And uh, everyone here, we're on the same uh, team, and we're going to continue to help equip you to have the tools to do this fight. So let's think a little bit more about these post-drill debrief. We're going to schedule a meeting. What did we do right? What else could we do? I love the more I'm in this fight, thinking about contingency plans. Did I miss anything? If I go out and my car it doesn't start, I can't get into Fort Meade inside the skiff and meet up. What is the other plan? I mentioned that plain old telephone system. It's pretty good, right? A landline, it's dependable, absolutely. But maybe I need a PACE plan. PACE plan is an acronym, uh, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. If plan A doesn't work, what is the alternate? If alternate, what's the contingency? We want to identify those things now. So if things are in the heat of the moment, we know what to do when first plan doesn't work out. We're going to record improvements. We're going to we're going to assign owners and deadlines to each item. It's not like, hey, yeah, next time I want you guys to do better. No, it's evaluator. I want to make sure that you have both a pen and a pencil and you're taking notes and you're not just focused on the electronic recording capability, but I want you to have a hard copy also. Mr. Evaluator, get that right next time. I want you to come with a notebook and your laptop next time. You understand? And when I say next time, this will be next week. You're going to show up with a pencil, a hard copy of a paper, and your electronic laptop. Yes, confirmation, and then you move on. Those SOPs, that's one of those continuing, evolving, dynamic uh, documents that we're going to continue improve on. That's where it's about. That's where it's at. The continuous improvement, always moving forward, always striving to move up. We're tracking the progress from one drill to the next. So how response times and correctness was improved. If we do the same battle drill, slightly different scenario, and hey, response time was 7 minutes, get a little faster. This is the type of metrics that we can then show the higher ups, the leadership, and let them be aware of where the progress is being made. Pause real quick. Any questions or is there an example you would like to share of how you were able to go through a scenario and then see a similar scenario like, oh goodness, learn not to do that again. Printing them off. This, which I'm sharing with you, is going to be about a 4-page template. You're welcome to use this. It's in Word, so easily edit. We're developing scenarios based on the current cybersecurity trends and threats specific to your industry. We took a broad brush with this, and we absolutely understand within your niche there might be nuances that you're going to customize based upon how your industry does, and we can describe your industry and how that would change with the considerations. We were looking at, ensuring that the drill is relevant and prepare the team for real world situations that might occur. Looking at technology integration, the simulation tools has these advanced simulation software to create realistic cyber incidents. That's the pinnacle. We also have the ability to do just the monitoring to integrate existing security monitors. That we can we think of the IDS, the intrusion detection system, the communication platforms, utilizing collaboration tools for real-time communication during the drill. This consideration, I remember it well, inside the skiff, they said, your NIPR, your non-secure internet protocol routing is down. What are you going to do? And that was when we went to the plain old telephone system. But if you can imagine, we're not allowed to have cell phones inside that skiff. And if our internet goes down, how do we communicate? Is it do you have a runner who goes in and out of security, carrying a piece of paper? I don't know where the boss man lives at home. I guess there's the four-star general who his house is technically on base. Before waking him up, is there anywhere else that we wanted to go? So, how do we communicate in these moments of crisis? And especially if this is only a simulated crisis, we really want to think hard before waking up the cyber commander up at 2 in the morning for a battle drill. And then thinking on the ticketing system. Those ticketing systems are only as good as well as they are utilized. Training, training, training. The more we can become familiar with the tools, the more we can use those tools effectively. Yeah. That role-specific briefing provides detailed briefings to key players about their roles and responsibilities. Uh, you may remember the slide that had the alarmist, the whistleblower. That's a key role. Going back to the infrastructure uh, job that I had at Fort Meade, we had a tier one SOC analyst, and I'll just call him Sergeant D. I remember him well. He's a E5, and he was a chatty box, and he sat probably 10 feet in front of me, and he would come to me with many false positives. And he'd come in with this uh, cheeseburger. Oh, Sergeant Bartis, they forgot to put pickles on my cheeseburger. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care, man. He'd come in like, hey, Sergeant Bartis, there's activity on the network. Well, go upstairs and see what the contractor's doing. You go upstairs. Oh yeah, it's Scotty. He's doing an upgrade. He does it every Friday. Right. There's an ASI, authorized service interruption. We know about it. It's on the calendar. Do your due diligence before you start talking to me about something that we all have planned. And being able to be that filter was his role. And sure enough, when we came home, he had a hard time finding employment because his skill set wasn't robust enough to be able to differentiate between these false positives, these alerts that come through frequently, and oh my goodness, this is potential incident. I've gone through, conducted due diligence, and now I am seeing that this is something is that should be elevated. Thinking about this, role specific briefings, uh, being able to say, is it appropriate for this alarm? That's his role to sound the alarm when needed. And if he's sounding the alarm frequently, he lost his value as being the alarmist. Or penny penny, the sky is falling. We have to be careful when in this business. If we go and everything's on fire, everything's a problem, we're gonna lose credibility. Conversely, if we say, hey, you guys are doing a lot of things right, however, these few elements, these are critical, this is a potential, we need to fix these. Okay, that's the value. So we're gonna get those major movements of things that need to be fixed. These are major vulnerabilities. These are high severity. That's what we're going to focus on in the beginning. Helping people to be familiar with technology. Ensure that participants are familiar with the tools and systems. Going back to that cyber task box, it's a phenomenal tool. However, with the graphic user interface, it may be different than some people are used to. My wife recently changed professions, and she went from Windows to MacBook. And it's something like when she scrolls up on the mouse pad versus down, the screen goes different. And it's still muscle memory, but it was new for her. Oh, honey, it'll take a little time. You'll get used to it. And, of course she does, but being familiar with the technology that is in front of you is part of where that training preparation comes in. The reason we do these improv drills is because we want to be comfortable with the technology that we're working with. And these scenario walkthroughs, just again, I'm going to use the military as an example. Before we go into theater for mobilization, we have this time called pre-mob. And I'm always amazed because, I've done it a few times. You're with these new group of people and we get close like family. But during this pre-mob, very much it's often about the soft skills also. It depends, you have your job, which you learn to shoot, or in a cyber mode, we learn how to do these IT cyber skills, which we're spending these 3 days learning these skills, the hard skills. But then there's also the soft skills. So when we are learning to do the scenario walkthroughs, a lot of it is how do we interact with these different levels? You got the alarmist who talks too much, and you got the C-level boss meeting. Maybe he just wants the highlight. Don't tell me about how the clock works and how things are. He needs the bottom line up front. And so, I'm learning to give him what's in it for him. How's that impact the mission? Consolidate the most important parts that impact the mission, the 50-meter target, not the vision. So being able to work through how to share the critical pieces of information with the different players is a really key element of what we're going to learn with these scenario walkthroughs. In documentation and reporting, this is learning absolutely critical. Um, as people move in and out of positions, we want to be able to leave a battle book, a playbook, what we did well, and when things that we're still working on. You'll see that as you get promoted out, you want to be able to leave. Hey, Johnny Jr., here's what I'm doing. Here's what's working well. So you got everything from your FAQ, frequently asked questions, to here's the last drill that we did. Here's the detailed log of, here's the timestamps, here's who I called, here's some considerations to think about, here's some lessons learned. My goodness, we're going to strive to stand on the shoulders of giants. The wise man can learn from the mistakes of others. If I had to learn all my own mistakes, I wouldn't be able to, go very far. But fortunately, we're on that team. We're learning to hear from each other. So we're going to learn the lessons, both where the weaknesses are from others. And those metrics, every time we say adherence to the procedures, and if there's something with the structure, the SOP that's we're going to fix, go through the proper change management, and then, okay, now we have performance metrics that we are going to work from. And then finishing with the executive summary, that's going to be a polished product. That's going to be something that the commander is going to review. This is a product that the picture shows bars, bar graphs, and colorful pictures. Absolutely. These commanders, these executives, they have a lot on their plate, and we are going to spend a lot of time to take the metrics and put it in a way that they can look at it, understand it, and if they need more information, they'll ask. But oftentimes it's, sir, you have 30% capability on your PCAP. You have these vulnerabilities. Here's the status on them. And we're working on these 3 other items. Pending questions, sir, I'll be followed by the red team. Boom. And move forward. So be aware that the executive summary may invest hours into. It takes literally sometimes only seconds, maybe a few minutes, which rolls right into that stakeholder engagement, the executive buy-in, uh, top management. They need to trust what you're doing. They're there to make their decisions, and if they trust what you're doing, then they can. But they need for us to do our job so they can focus on what their vision or their decision making is. The department coordination, we're engaging with various departments to ensure their participation on a comprehensive level. It goes back to that primo of integrating using this soft social skills, employee awareness, communication. Um, Over communication is where we err on. We want to be transparent with what's happening as appropriate. And then external partner involvement. Considering including key vendors and program drill scenarios. If you have a key player, letting them know, involving some third party, hey, we're going to have to do a drill scenario coming up. We'd love to have you participate. That's going to just enrich the entire drill scenario. I want to finish up here with the continuous improvement cycle, and then we'll open up for questions, and we'd really like to hear some of your experiences. I know we have a wealth of experience in this room, and this is a mastermind time. I'd like to hear what you've done so far, and then in the future, allow us to be a resource, because this is a field that we will continue to improve, largely based upon sharing stories and experience with each other. So appreciate reviewing the results, analyze the outcomes and metrics from each drill thoroughly. We're going to spend probably more time reviewing what happened than we do in the actual drill. Identifying those gaps, we're going to pinpoint areas. And when you go to the doctor, it's not always fun, but you're going to talk about, oh, this hurts, oh, this didn't go well. You're going to talk about the parts that are not good. Think about when I go into marital counseling. Oh my gosh, I hate to talk about it, but this part is going well. You're going to talk about the areas that need improvement. As painful as it might be, we're going to talk about all of those areas. Developing solutions. Create targeted improvement to address those identified weaknesses. How do we get better? And if you don't have a great answer right away, what's your best solution for now? And then just come back and continue to find some improvements. Do you have a better answer than what we're working with right now? Implement changes, updating these policies, improve the documentation, being aware of additional regulation that comes down, and retest. We're going to do the drill again and again. So, hey, I'm excited about what's happening in this field. Appreciate your involvement, and uh, I'll go ahead and pass it on, and we'll share again soon. Appreciate you.